Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hey, how is it going tonight? How is it going tonight? We just having some goofy news going on with this president. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, just like everybody else. Did we get the food prices that we wanted? Why are we getting this president saying we're going to get a $2,000 stimulus? Let's check this out.
Mr. President, you said that tariffs do not increase prices for consumers, but now you're lowering tariffs.
I didn't say they don't. I say they may in some cases, but to a large extent, they've been borne by the country. As an example, we have virtually no inflation, and yet we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. So we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. We've used tariffs to stop wars. You look at India and Pakistan, look at so many wars I stopped just by saying I'm going to impose tariffs on your country if you're going to have a war.
So
in that case, in that case it was nuclear war, and I stopped it by using tariffs. But oftentimes, and to a large extent, the countries themselves pick up the tab. The companies pick up the tab, and I find that based on inflation, we have virtually no inflation. When I inherited the country from Sleepy Joe Biden, the inflation, it was the highest inflation in the history of our country.
Well, we know that's a lie because the inflation was down to 2.3% when Joe Biden got out of office. It was down to 2.3%. Now it's over 3% with him being in office. So we know that's a lie.
Or at least 48 years. They used 48. I say it was the history. We have now a low inflation, going to be very soon even lower. But we'll get some of the prices down a little bit, which will bring them down to a new low.
How much of the tab is being picked up by Americans?
I think very little. I mean, I really think very little. If you look at it, and when you add the trillions of dollars that our country is making, when you add the fact that I'll be giving back $2,000 or so to middle-income people, low-income people, everybody but the rich, will be giving $2,000 back, and you add that in. When you add the fact that our country is extremely rich and we have no wars and we're respected again, when you add the fact that when China was threatening to us in terms of rare earths, I was able to solve it just by putting tariffs on China, and we made a deal a week later. When you add all of the benefits, the single greatest thing we have right now is the use of tariffs, and I use them properly. For years, they've been used against us, and I think, whether you call them tariffs or anything else, if you didn't use them, you really would have an unguarded disaster on your hands.
But we got a disaster on our hands. By all economists, we got a disaster on our hands. Where are we getting this money? Where are we getting this $3 trillion that we're making from the tariffs? My understanding is that maybe $30 billion, but not definitely trillion. And what happened to those Doge amount? What happened to that Doge amount that we were supposed to be getting? We ain't got no Doge money. We ain't seen the Doge money. I don't know where the Doge money went. He's talking about $2,000. He needs to tell the rest of his crew, okay? Because the rest of his crew don't have no clue what he's talking about when it comes to giving out $2,000. Because he ain't giving out $2,000, and people don't know what he's talking about. He's putting people in a position. Hold on. He's putting people in a position to lie for him.
And former Republican Congressman from Florida, Carlos Curbelo, who is also an MSNBC political analyst. Susan, is this an economic plan? Well, the president apparently didn't tell his Treasury Secretary about it, because on one of the Sunday shows yesterday, Secretary Bessent seemed to know nothing about it and tried to walk it back, saying maybe some of the tax cuts that were part of the bill that's already been passed would count as this $2,000 rebate. So, Chris, I would not go ahead and spend that money, not quite yet.
Well, let me see the money that he gave away this summer to the billionaires took us over the edge. It took us over the edge, including these tariffs. So now we in free fall trying to figure out what the hell is going on. We broke. Why can't I tell that we broke? This man right here, this dude on the Sunday show, didn't know what to say. Listen.
I haven't spoken to the president about this yet, but it could. The $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
Here's the thing. What happened to that Doge money they were telling us about? Anybody get a Doge check? Because I didn't get a Doge check. And I should have got a Doge check. I'm assuming I should have got a Doge check. I don't know. I'm at the higher end of it, but I should have got a Doge check too. I don't know nobody who got a Doge check. This guy don't know what he's talking about. For all of you, for all of the people talking about tax on tips, tax on overtime, that money is taken as a itemized deduction on your taxes. That's put on your taxes as an itemized deduction, that tax on overtime. Most people, most Americans take the standard deduction. This taxes on tips and taxes on overtime has nothing to do with you, because you don't take it as a standardized deduction. You take it as you don't take it as an itemized deduction. You take it as a standard deduction. So therefore, people saying, oh, we're going to get, our tax is going to be cut, or we're going to do X, Y, and Z. No, the taxes on tips and the taxes on overtime they don't apply to you. They don't apply to you because you take the standard deduction instead of the itemized deduction. And most people do. So stop it. It's not anything that's going to help us as the regular day, everyday Americans. This man had no idea taxes ain't going to be cut. That's just a fool's errand.
Well, I mean, that's not what he said, though, right? He said a $2,000 payment, right? So, Carlos, is there?
Yeah, but most people don't work for taxes. I mean, most people don't work for tips. That's a small subset of people that work for tips. Okay, most people don't work for tips.
Any political danger in promising something you don't know you can deliver?
I know that I know that overtime deduction, I know that's going to be on your itemized deduction. And most of y'all just walking into the tax person to file your taxes and you use standard deduction. Excuse me. You use standard. Most of us use the standard deduction in taxes. That's just it. Go look at your taxes. It'll be a standard deduction. Most of y'all don't go itemized line from line. Oh, I bought 10 of those. Let me get a tax deduction on that. Oh, I bought 20 of those. Let me get a tax deduction on that. Most of us don't go through just like that. Most of us use the standard deduction, and it doesn't apply to our tips. So stop it.
I mean, I wonder, can he legally just order the Treasury Department, for example, to send out checks?
Yes, he did. He just ordered to say the department to just give out check. And that dude didn't know nothing about it. Nobody knew nothing about no $2,000 check. Just like the Doge check ain't going to come, just like this ain't going to come. That's wild.
Well, number one, there is political risk because this would likely have to go through Congress. I highly doubt that there are a sufficient number of Republicans who would support this kind of initiative. This is what a lot of Republicans criticized about the Biden years and said that it led to inflation, this idea of just flooding the country with cash in this way. So you'd have tariffs, which already are creating some inflationary pressures in the economy, and then you would exacerbate that situation by flooding the market with all of this cash. So number one, I really don't think that they can find the votes in Congress to get this done. Number two, if you say
that taxes on The taxes on overtime apply for you. It applies to you if you itemize deduct. But if you don't, which most people don't, most people take the standard deduction, it won't apply to you. And then probably it'll be the only, if people decide, okay, let me take my taxes on tip. Let me take my overtime, no taxes on overtime. It won't make a difference because that's probably be the only thing that they itemize. They ain't itemizing other stuff. When you got a lot of stuff to itemize, you would be doing that. Okay. Interest on housing, interest on X, Y, and Z. Most people don't have that. Most people take the standard deduction. So, oh yay, we get taxed. We don't get taxed on our overtime. It don't apply to you. Okay, stop it. So it does nothing for the everyday or average American.
This enough and it doesn't happen, then people could come back, get upset, and vote against you in the midterms.
And number three, you might have to pay back some of the tariff money. But Susan, if Trump can't deliver, I wonder.
So is this $2,000 gonna make everybody forget that the bullshit that's going on?
Stimulus checks sent right to them. President Donald Trump says yes, but don't get too excited yet. In a message on social media on Sunday morning, the president said a dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to everyone, not including high-income people. This money would allegedly be coming from tariff revenue. So here's why you shouldn't get too excited yet. This is not the first time the president has said thousands of dollars are coming. In an interview back in October, the president said everyone would be getting $1,000 to $2,000. Before that, in July, he said his administration was considering rebate checks. And then going back to February,
he already said that you're not going to get the $2,000 check until next year sometime. It won't be until next year sometime. Maybe closer to the election. Maybe that will be. He said, nah, you ain't getting $2,000 because the reporter asked him, are we going to get the $2,000 before Christmas? And Donald Trump said, nope. He
said Doge savings could hit people's pockets. So could money be coming? It's really not clear yet, but nothing can be done without Congress.
$2,000 checks to U.S. citizens. Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. Citizens expect a $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is committed to making that happen, yes. And we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen. And so his team of economic advisors are looking into it. And when we have an update, we'll provide one. Solon.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP benefits?
So recipients missed their.
Well, there was a reason why he fought the disbursement of the food stamps, the food stamp money, because it wasn't there. It wasn't there.
SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down. And they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program.
Klein, I don't know how you spell your name. Klein Sayer, stop being dumb. Ain't no $2,000 coming in no damn November. Trump said it on the plane. It's not coming until next year. Stop it.
And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying.
And even if it come, 9 times out of 10, we probably ain't gonna get it. We're probably going to be in an economic recession, the worst we've ever had before that happens. Don't look for no $2,000 check. That's all we're saying. Don't look for it. Don't be a goofy. Just don't look for it.
To dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest. And so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have the judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do, to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate and it's unconstitutional. And we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours, President Trump, the government is going to be reopened and SNAP recipients.
Well, see, here's a kick in the pants. The $5 billion was depleted. We don't know why it was depleted. We don't know how it was spent. Nobody says how it was spent. We can't even begin to say how it was spent. We just know that $5 billion was spent. Hold on.
Are people who are protesting the regime. They are just often picked up off the street, spirited away, sometimes to open-ended detention. Sometimes they're never seen again. What you are doing, both the individuals who have legal rights to stay here, like Kilmar.
Wait a minute, hold
I
on.
say this with seriousness and respect, but your department is out of control. You are spending like you don't have a budget. You're on the verge of running out of money for the fiscal year. You are illegally refusing to spend funds that have been authorized by this Congress and appropriated by this committee. You are ignoring the immigration laws of this nation, implementing a brand new immigration system that you have invented that has little relation to the statutes that you are required, that you are commanded to follow.
So what happens to that money when you overspend like that? When you overspend like that? You know the reason why the Trump administration went to court not to pay out the food stamp fund money was because that money was gone. Because that money had already been spent. They spent that money. Somehow, some way, that money got spent. They just spent it. We don't know how they spent it, but they spent it. Listen, watch this.
Latest SNAP payment in the judge's order put out guidance to states today on how to get that money to the recipients of SNAP. But it's going to take some time. The best way to get the full amount of SNAP benefits to those beneficiaries is for Democrats to reopen the government. So to anyone who is a SNAP beneficiary at home who needs that assistance, and the president was just saying, this is for people who are truly needy, who need food, who need this assistance from the United States government. Democrats are holding it up.
Here's the thing: they didn't have the money in the fund to give to people. That money had been spent. Actually, there's two funds. There's a $5 billion one, and then there's a $23 billion one. The $23 billion one was made in the 1930s. That's the backup kitty booty. We don't know whether they spent that money or not. We do know that this administration is spending money hand over fist. Finish listening.
And making it difficult for the administration to get those payments out the door. So if you are at home and you want your SNAP benefits, call the Democrats and tell them to reopen the government.
Blocking that contingency fund for the future if this shutdown lingers on?
Look, the president does not want to have to continue to dip into a contingency fund that doesn't even have enough money, by the way, to fund the full program.
Why didn't they have enough money? Why didn't they have enough money to even play the partial? Why did y'all go to court in order to not pay anything? What happened?
It takes $9 billion to get the full scale of the benefits out the door. This contingency fund only has about $5 billion in it. So again, Democrats need to reopen the government so we can get these benefits out the door for people who truly need them. Kate.
A massive new report has just exposed that Donald Trump purchased $100 million worth of bonds directly tied to companies impacted by his policies. This could be one of the biggest scandals of Donald Trump's entire presidency, and it's impeachable. Check this out.
This January, the president's bought more than $100 million worth of corporate and municipal bonds. That is according to filings from the Office of Government Ethics. This kind of active trading by a president is unprecedented, but these bonds include banks, and they include companies, and they include local governments that are literally directly impacted by the decisions that Donald.
So he's going all over spreading money, buying bonds, municipals. This is a president who's supposed to be you're not supposed to profit when you're in the presidency, in the office. You're not supposed to profit like this. So all of the money that's being allocated, if I had access to all of that money, would you be upfront and honest with all of that money, and you're a person that's normally a con man? Would you, as a con man, do what you had to do if you had access to that money? That's the whole thing. We have a con man that's in the office, the Oval Office. We have a con man who is used to doing corrupt things. So now he's buying up municipal bonds all over the country, just using money that maybe it belongs to the American people. It damn sure don't belong to him. You know he ain't using his money. This is wild.
Trump is making in the White House.
Of course, this is obvious insider trading and blatant corruption. As the president, you can't do things like this. You're not allowed to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bonds directly impacted by your policies. That's not just unethical. This is an impeachable offense.
An impeachable offense. Do we have people that'll stand up and let it be impeachable? Or are we just gonna let it happen? People are just gonna let the president do what he wants to do. That's why I say you Republicans you don't stand on anything. This is your president doing this corrupt behavior. Yet and still, we have nobody doing any kind of pushback on it. Why isn't there any kind of pushback on this right here? Why is there no pushback on what this president is spending money on? He's spending our money, our U.S. dollars. People keep saying, well, he's spending the $230 million on the renovation. He's getting private donations. Private donations from where? Who's donating to get that fixed? And yet we're missing SNAP funds. What's going on?
Everyday Americans are struggling with job loss, economic instability, and rising prices. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is out here lining his pockets with billions of dollars manipulating.
Money for SNAP is gone. I know we've all been suspecting this for a while, but the emergency fund in case of a government shutdown that was appropriated by Congress is gone.
You all please hit the like button, share button, subscribe button, please and thank you. I'm not on camera this week because I have bronchitis really bad. And I'll go into a fit of coughing. No point in being on camera if I do that. But please hit the like and the share and the subscribe button, for more content, because we try to do this every day. I've just been very sporadic this week because I've been sick. But normally I will be here every evening, just to rattle over some news and things that are going on. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like most things in his life, Donald Trump stole it, pilfered it, spent it, and it's gone. And his own lawyer admitted it to the Supreme Court in his appeal. This is the court document, the appeal to the Supreme Court, written by Trump's lawyer himself. You can find this online. And he says Congress has failed to appropriate funds to pay for SNAP for this fiscal year. The executive branch has since exhausted the entirety of its SNAP contingency reserve, which amounted to over $5 billion. And he says this funding lapse is a crisis, but it's a crisis that was caused by congressional failure, so Congress has to take action to fix it. The reserve money is not gone because Congress did something with it. It's gone because Trump did something with it. And the funny thing, how MAGA's always talking about America first? During the shutdown, the Democrats tried taking some of that $40 billion that Trump was using to bail out Argentina and use it to help people during the shutdown. And Republicans said no. Funny how for years they've been saying they don't want to give any money to Ukraine to help them defend themselves against fascist Russia. They're like, oh, we need to help people here. And then the second we have a chance to help people here, they're like, nope, we're going to give billions to Argentina instead. And now Donald Trump and his administration blatantly stole and spent money that was appropriated by Congress for people to use in case of a shutdown for their SNAP benefits. And Trump's own lawyer admits it.
He's panicking. He's panicking because he doesn't have the money. He's panicking because he spent the money. The SNAP contingency fund, whatever tariff money that came in, it was not trillions, but it is estimated to be about 80 billion. It's gone. It's spent. Not just that, but this goes all the way back to USAID and the Doge stuff.
It goes all the way back to the Doge stuff. I believe they did find money. I believe they did find stuff. But what happened to our stimulus check? What happened to that? I didn't see I didn't see none of our debt go down. I didn't see anybody come out and say, well, we're paying for this. We're paying off that. We're paying off that. I never saw anybody come out and say anything about where that Doge money went. What happened? Has anybody asked for a itemized deduction, itemized accountability for the stuff that they found? They kept saying they found billions and billions of dollars. People were having contracts, and then those contracts were going on for 20 and 30 years, and they were still getting paid. The contract was worth 3 months, but then they were continuing to get paid 10, 20, 30 years. What happened to that money? What happened to these lawsuits that should be coming out of the woodwork with people who stole money from the U.S. government? It's all in the pocket of these politicians. It's all in pocket. And Trump is right along with them, putting that money in their pocket. They're all putting that money in their pocket. We'll never see that. We're supposed to get a Doge check. We're supposed to get a $2,000 stimulus check. Yeah, we'd be lucky if we get $5 on our taxes. That deduction on tips and tax, that don't mean jack shit compared to the money that they stealing.
They have taken money from all kinds of places in the government. And he's panicking now because the Supreme Court, in their oral arguments the other day, sounded like, even the conservatives, that they're going to rule against him on the tariffs being unconstitutional, which means he has to give the money back. And he's panicking because he doesn't have the money to give it back. He's riddled with dementia, so he's out here just admitting it. This is just an admission. This is the biggest theft of the American government in our history. We don't even know the tip of the iceberg. This is absolutely insane. We need a full audit of every dollar that has been spent in our government since January. I mean, really, we need a better audit of our government for like years and years, but since January, since he came into office, because I don't think that there is any money in these funds.
Why would you allow Elon Musk to be in charge of finding fraud and abuse, and he only benefits from you finding fraud and abuse? Somebody told me there was some kind of wealth fund that they put into place for maybe not Donald Trump, but it was a secret fund, some kind of weird fund that they put together, and they were shoveling money into that wealth fund to cover up what they found. Not cover up, but then put it into a fund where people would just look over it, right? So who knows what the hell is going on with the money? I do know you went to court and you said you didn't have any money in the $5 billion fund for the SNAP. So what happened to the $5 billion fund in the SNAP?
He stole it. He stole our money.
Welcome to Unhinged Rabbit Hole News. Why do I believe that Trump stole the contingency fund for SNAP? Let's get into it. Let's start with a brief history of Donald Trump and his unpaid bills. In 1984, he stiffed a cabinet maker who supplied slot machines, bars, and desks to the tune of over $84,000. In 1998, a toilet maker fulfills an order for Trump's Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. This order eventually totaled over $200,000. He walked away with $70,000. In 2006, Donald Trump was sued by his personal driver of 25 years for over 3,300 hours of unpaid overtime. During 25 years of service, Noel Cintron only received 2 raises, one in 2006 and another in 2010. He eventually sued for over $350,000. In 2007, Trump orders $700,000 of curtains, bed sheets, and pillowcases for Trump Hotel. Trump Hotel eventually increases those orders to the tune of $1.2 million. Due to an unpaid balance of over $550,000, the owner, Larry Walters, halts production and then retains the materials for the curtains as collateral. So Trump does what he does best. He sues and then has the sheriff's office show up and take all of the drapery from the business owner. As the sheriffs are removing these materials, Trump still has not paid. Larry Walters was eventually forced to settle for over $820,000, leaving him $400,000 short of the owed balance. And just a little nugget, he had to file for bankruptcy after that. And as recent as 2017, he was sued and forced to pay over $330,000 for stiffing a paint maker and event staff in Florida. What all of these instances have in common is that Donald Trump owed someone money and decided to use the courts as a way to not be responsible for paying those bills. He has essentially weaponized the court systems in America in order to avoid ever being financially responsible for anything that he does. Another thing that I would like to point out is he has a tendency to always sue into bankruptcy blue-collar workers, the average American. He does not consider us valuable enough to be paid for our services, even after we provide them. Now think of SNAP as a bill. It's a government bill, right? Every month the government has to pay it for us to receive it. Well, it looks to me like based on his pattern, he doesn't have the money and he doesn't plan on
Donald
getting
Trump
it.
is stealing from your tax dollars to fund his corruption. Take a look at this.
Trump turned an official state visit into another example of his efforts to profit off of the presidency. I'm Rolling Stone politics reporter Nikki McCann Ramirez. In 1976, President Jimmy Carter famously put his family's peanut farm in a blind trust to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest while he was in office. Contrast that with the current president, who this week took advantage of a taxpayer-funded trip to Scotland to inaugurate a brand new Trump golf course. Trump has not been shy about promoting his businesses, as his family does all it can to cash in on the presidency. Trump-branded crypto, luxury hotels, private clubs, cell phones, and cologne are just some of the ways he and the Trumps have enriched themselves in the 6 months since he moved back into the White House. On Tuesday, Trump cut the ribbon on the Trump International Golf Links Aberdeen. The ceremony came at the end of an official taxpayer-funded trip during which Trump met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The administration used official government channels to promote the opening of Trump's new private club. And when asked about the apparent conflict of interest, Trump bragged to reporters about how far he'd driven the ball on his inaugural tee shot.
Did you get to see my drive in the first hole?
You hit it straight.
I did. Pretty long.
That's all you get is corruption with this president. That's all we get. We get corruption, money taken. You guys do know that the bill, when the shutdown was done, last week when the shutdown was done, senators in the middle of the night, Republican senators in the middle of the night put in the bill a windfall for 8 senators so they could get $500,000 if they sued the American government. Minimum. Sued the American government for $500,000. That's minimum they could get. They put it in that shutdown bill. 8 senators would get $500,000. Okay, just like Trump is asking for $230 million, they're going to get $500,000 each. It's in the bill that just closed when we just opened up the government. So there's a windfall for those 8 senators, and they're going to continue to do it throughout this presidency, Donald Trump's presidency. They're going to enrich themselves because they can do that, and then everybody voted for that bill. So they're taking money out of the government any which way that they can. I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. I know they're fleecing the American people because this is a blatant disregard for the money. Billionaire, it could be billionaires, it could be million, it doesn't matter. They're still taking money out of the government, and we're the ones that are going broke. Food prices high, rent high, car note high, interest high, all-time debt. We are in trouble. We are over the cliff, and they're just taking money and putting it in their pocket. Okay? There was no money in that SNAP contingency fund. Trump went to court so he could stall so some money could fall into the bucket so he could be able to pay it. Yeah, this host is a huge fuel. And you're a zombie, Divine. You're a zombie because you don't have anything to stand on. You never have anything to stand on. Let's talk about the host instead of talking about your corrupt president. Let's do that. You're a zombie. So shut up, zombie.
Pretty long.
This is by no means new. Trump was accused during his first term of using his various hotels, resorts, and golf courses as vehicles through which foreign governments and supplicants could funnel money to the president while skirting anti-corruption laws.
I'm giving you the whole point is to give you talking points so you idiots could go out there and look the shit up on your own. Okay? Why do people got to do the research for you? Why you can't figure it out? Instead of saying, oh, well, the host doesn't know what she's talking about. No, go do your own research. Y'all act like you got to be told everything. You got to be fed everything. Okay? These rumors and these things wouldn't be out here if some of it wasn't true. You know it and I know it. You know they're taking the money. You know they're taking the money. And sure enough, this corrupt president is taking money. Instead of worrying about and trying to figure out how to stop this president from taking money, you over here telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. What the hell is going on? Just people, goofies over here caping for rich people. That's what you're doing. You over here caping for rich people. I don't think I'm an EBT queen. I don't think I've seen EBT since I was a teenager. Excuse you.
Rolling Stone has reported that Trump has complained that it was, quote, stupid of him to leave so much money on the table during his first term, and that this time around, he's attempting to make up for lost opportunities. One source told us that the administration was practically, quote, bragging about carrying out shady financial deals that they used to take pains to hide during their first term.
Yeah, they used to take pains to hide during their first term. Okay? They used to hide it when he came to when he was in term the first time. He would hide the things that he was doing, and he had people that would stop him from his worst impulses. Now he has nobody to stop him from his worst impulses. They just do what they want to do. They don't care what they do now because nobody's stopping them. There's no pushback whatsoever. You heard what she just said. She just said, look, we were doing all that we wanted to do, or we tried to do what we wanted to do in the first term, but we had people who were stopping us from doing that. Now we don't have anybody to stop us from doing what we want and how we want and what we want to get away with. So this is where we're at. No guardrails whatsoever. Nobody doing anything to stop it. Okay? It's just a matter of them taking from the poor people. It's a matter of the rich taking from the poor people. You have a corrupt president who is lining the pockets of his buddies, lining his own pockets. Everybody is benefiting that lives in Washington, that works in the government, except the regular, normal, everyday people. Okay? So we already over a cliff. We already bare. It's the clown car. It's the clown car. That's all it is. It's the clown car and somebody's in control, but it's not the American people, that's for sure.
And while Trump and his family are raking in potentially billions of dollars through their private businesses, it's your tax dollars that are covering his travel costs.
Program. To figure out why the Trump administration would be opposed to using the emergency contingency funds for SNAP to feed people that it was designed to do. And I just can't come up with a good answer except this one. The more I thought about it, what if they have reprogrammed that $6 billion and they've used it for something else under Russell Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget? And what if that money is not there now? And they never thought that they would need to use the money, that $6 billion, and who knows what they potentially have used it for. But so they've got to cover up the fact that money's not there. And so that may be why they don't want to be forced to allocate the SNAP emergency funds, is because the funds aren't there anymore. What if they use them for something else? What if they're for Trump's ballroom? What if they're for Kristi Noem's $170 million planes? What if they're to pay all these private FBI jets that Kash Patel's taken his girlfriend around on? They used it for Trump's no-show parade. I don't know. I'm just trying to decide, why would they not want to use these funds to help feed children, to help feed, which is 40% of the population that SNAP goes for. 20% are the elderly. Another big chunk are veterans and the disabled. Why? And maybe they've used the money for something else because they're reprogramming money for everything else, and they don't want to get caught. There's a big cover up, and they don't want to get caught on this, just like those Jeffrey Epstein files. What do you think? Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs. Maybe the reason is they've already used the funds and they're not there anymore. What do you think? Let me know.
I got some clothes. I got some jewelry. The rest I got tied up in investments. I ain't got nothing else.
Well, America, he has spent the tariff money. I believe he has spent the tariff money. I also believe he spent the SNAP money. I believe we have spent so much money that we are going to be broke. We increased our national deficit $1 trillion in 30 days. We're giving $1 trillion to the military, $170 billion to Homeland Security, $1 billion to overhaul a Qatar jet, $40 billion to Argentina. We only bring in $5 trillion for taxes every year. I believe we are going to be broke. Let's not forget about the White House, the golfing, the $49 million birthday parade, all the public events, the Super Bowl, the NASCAR. I really think the USA is going to be broke. He has gone bankrupt 6 times, including bankrupting a casino. He was broke before he came in office. He has squandered an inheritance. I think we're going to be broke. Tell me I'm wrong.
Massive breaking news right now. Literally seconds ago, a judge in Rhode Island issued a temporary restraining order telling the Trump administration they have to continue providing SNAP benefits using contingency funds appropriated by Congress in November. This is a stunning decision. Judge McConnell in Rhode Island just issued it from the bench. SNAP benefits must continue despite the ongoing government shutdown. Now, meanwhile, at the exact same time, a judge in Massachusetts says that the Trump administration's interpretation of the law that they can't hand out these contingency benefits despite the fact that they were appropriated by Congress is likely unlawful. So 2 separate judges in 2 separate states have essentially determined that what the Trump administration is trying to do is unlawful. The judge in Rhode Island issued a temporary restraining order. Judge in Massachusetts did not just yet, ordering the administration to respond by Monday. But here's the thing, if these rulings stand, you're going to get SNAP benefits in November. I'll provide you more updates. Spread the word, follow along.
Well, America.
The Democrats shut this down. They shut down the play. They shut down the government for this food stamp fight. They did that. But then the Trump administration went to court just so they didn't have to pay it. You didn't go to court once, you went to court twice. You went 2-3 times saying you weren't going to pay it, which tells me you didn't want to pay it, which tells me you own this breakdown. You own this shutdown the minute you said you weren't going to pay the money. This was a Republican shutdown at the end of the day, and most people saw it that way. It is what it is, because the money wasn't there for them to pay out.
The idiot in charge has spent the tariff money. He has spent $3 trillion. Where was it supposed to be? It was supposed to be in the bank. It was supposed to pay off our debt or give us a check as a tax return. I don't know. But he admitted himself in writing that he has spent the money. If he's forced to pay this money back, it will plunge the United States into the greatest recession or depression we've ever seen. You voted for him. Most of you voted for him 3 times. He spent the tariff money. On what? God knows who. He spent the tariff money and now can't pay it back. I don't know. How could we have known that? 5 bankruptcies? 2 failed casinos? Who can fail at a casino?
Is up. Donald Trump and the billionaire establishment passed the largest transfer of wealth in the history of this country by stealing from working class Americans to give tax breaks to the ultra wealthy and the largest corporations in this country. While the rich get richer, the rest of us are getting screwed. And we want to make sure that people understand that it's not their fault that they can't get by, because they are working harder and harder than ever. We know that they're going to keep trying to rebrand this big, beautiful bill, but they can't run. They can't hide. This is something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives and through 2026 and to 2027, 28, and 29.
Oh, prices are up. No. Prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially.
Make it make sense why I'm paying $500 a week for groceries and necessities.
Look at his price. $10.99. Look at the price I paid for this just a year ago.
So basically, ground beef is a luxury item now. So if y'all see me making more chicken and turkey recipes, that's probably the reason why.
Why did it cost me $1,000 last month to feed my 4 kids? At this point, I don't even eat. I just have enough food to feed my kids.
Seriously, I really just don't understand how we are expected to pay for groceries anymore. It is so unbelievably expensive just to live. I don't know about you, but I am so excited for day one, when apparently all of these prices are going to go down any day now.
So gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping. It's actually infuriating people, because people know what they're paying at the grocery store. They know what they're paying for their kids' clothes and school supplies. They know what they're paying for their electricity bills. And so that approach.
That's the biggest gaslighting I have ever seen. Donald Trump is the biggest gaslighter ever. And he's good at it because he got goofies. He got goofies believing this shit. They will fight tooth and nail, go to the store, see that the beef, the meat, the eggs, the bread, see that it is up by 20%, and will continuously try to fight you telling you, no, that's a lie. The food ain't up. You don't believe your lying eyes, y'all. Don't believe none of the things that people telling you. Just believe what Donald Trump tell you. Donald Trump says, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. See, I'm saying that because apparently that's all he has to say is food is still low. Food is low. That's all he got to say is 10 times, and these goofy maggots are going to believe it. So I'm going to say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And maybe they'll believe there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Instead of believing the lies that Donald Trump come out of his mouth. Every time he opens his mouth, he's lying. When he moves his mouth, he's lying. But that's what but they believe it. You know, it's about 20, 25% of y'all goofies that believe it. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. I want to keep saying that just in case. Y'all got to remember, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. The food prices are low. The food prices are low. There's no place like home. Let Donald Trump say it, and you guys will believe it. Just goofy.
Approach does not work. We need compassion and show that we care about the American people and show that we are in the trenches with them on what they're going through. That's first and foremost. You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what's happening.
See, I ain't no fan of MTG. Excuse me, y'all. I'm not a fan of MTG. Don't get me wrong. She's a damn gaslighter too. She's really good at gaslighting, right? Especially goofy people. Goofy people, she can gaslight. They call them MAGA. Those are the goofy people, right? I call them zombies. She's very good at gaslighting, you guys. She's very good. But sometimes she can be right. Now, you gonna go to war with that girl? The president is gonna go to war with that girl? I take my chances with MTG. I take my chances with her any day because she gets out there. She can rent funds. She can raise money. She could talk her ass off. She could tell you about yourself. She could do all of those things. She just like Donnie. She just like Donnie, except she's a female version. I put my money on MTG. Now, he want to go up against her? Oh, hell no. You going to have somebody that's already turncoat in your establishment. He going to run somebody against her because that's what he said he's going to do. He's going to run somebody against her, and then it's going to be a problem. Now, people can see, I'm not an MTG fan. I am not. But I see where she going, okay? But they're going to get some people to believe her. They're going to get some people to go behind her, and she probably going to be reelected. But who knows? What is he signing? Let me see. Keep going.
Dump about 5 o'clock tonight, the president signed an executive order eliminating tariffs on hundreds of different things, mostly stuff we don't make or grow in this country, like orange juice, coffee, tea. The interesting thing about it is they did this in an effort to lower prices on groceries, on things that people buy every day, even while still making the argument that it's not American consumers who pay the tariffs and that tariffs don't raise prices. Part of the reason you're seeing it done like a Friday news dump is to not have to perhaps explain the tension between we're going to eliminate a problem that we exacerbated with these tariffs in the first.
Y'all listen to what he's saying. He's saying this was a news dump on Friday night. On Friday night, I didn't hear about this until today. This was a news dump on Friday night that Donald Trump lowered prices or took tariffs off. He took tariffs off some of the people that gave us bananas, exotic fruits, that kind of thing. He took tariffs off those people. Why did he do that? So he could lower prices. So he could lower food prices. It's called manipulation. Of course it is. Of course. But see, the whole point is, why would you need to take tariffs off why would you need to take tariffs off stuff if stuff was already lower? Stuff wasn't already lower because he was lying. Of course he was lying. Food and all of that stuff was still up. Now he's taking taxes and whatnot, tariffs off the food that was coming in and we were paying it. Why would you need to take the food? Why would you need to do that if the food was already lower? If the food was going lower already? Because you were lying to the American people. And you got Googles and you got goofies like, wait a minute, hold on. What's your name? Divine 777. We got goofies like Divine. Let me point her out. Let me pointing out Divine Goofy is a maggot, of course. She's a zombie, of course, because everything she ain't got nothing. They believed everything he said. He said he was lowering. He said he was going to cancel the tariffs on certain foods because he was lying about the foods being lower, the price being lower. Y'all got to listen to the play. This president, every time he opens his mouth, he lies about stuff. Always.
First place. The upshot is groceries are up about 1% since the president came into office in January. Some of these things like beef, orange juice are up in the double digits. Getting rid of these tariffs, like the White House hopes, will help bring down these prices, or at least let them get caught trying to address a problem Americans are saying they feel.
Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the only...
Let's compare grocery prices from Biden's last day in office with Trump right now in October.
Let's make sure that we listen to this. Let's make sure.
2025. Okay, on January 19, 2025, on Biden's last day in office, this French vanilla coffee was $7.99 a bag. Now, let's flash forward to October 2025. Same coffee, same store, same size, $9.99 a bag. That's a 25% Trump increase. Let's try one more item, bacon. It was $8.15, $7.49 on sale back on Biden's last day, January 19, 2025. How about now? Now it's $9.65 or $8.99 on sale. Either price, it's a 19% increase than what it was back when Biden was president.
So how is it that people keep saying the prices are lower when we know that's a lie? We know it's a lie. So how can we say that this president is telling the truth? Because he's got to be getting this information. He's got to be getting this information from his people. His people are monitoring these things. They know that they're getting killed. That's why it was a blue wave. See, this is where we at. All of this is just a distraction. The president is scrambling, trying to avoid these Epstein files. He's trying to avoid the Epstein files. That's where we're at. Okay? Because he knows that he's in them. He knows that he's in them. He knows there's bad in him. See, here's the thing. We have already heard X, Y, and Z from these Epstein emails. We've already heard X, Y, and Z from these emails, right? And these emails are damaging enough. They're damaging enough, right? But that's not everything. The files have not been released. The files are different from what was released this week. What was released this week were emails from the Epstein estate. Those were damaging enough with the Bubba and the goofy shit and the Bubba shit. Nobody know about the Bubba shit. Does anybody know about the Bubba shit? I don't even know about the Bubba shit, but the Bubba shit was kind of wild. What is this Bubba shit? Okay, I don't want to. What is it? Wait, let's do it again. So that's wild, right? We get these from the files. We get this goofy shit from the files. What did we get from the goofy? This is all a distraction from what's going on. This is just a distraction that this president wants to put on. Lowering prices of
Trump suck Bill Clinton's. I think that it would be the funniest outcome if it turns out that Donald Trump was actually in the Epstein files, but it wasn't for being it was for sucking Bill Clinton's. I'm sorry to say. Somebody says apparently there are photos of Donald Trump blowing someone named Bubba. The saga will never end. Trump is a... What is your boy Donald? You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard. Well, what do you mean by that? That's interesting. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. So there we go, right? And so we could have a situation where there could be photographs of Donald Trump sucking Bill Clinton's. I honestly don't know what's gonna happen if Donald Trump gets exposed for being bisexual. Because like at this point, this is the first ever LGBT president. This is the first guy where it's like, you know for a fact, for like all of the people that hate Donald Trump, if he turns out to be the first LGBT president, can you imagine that?
That's the thing. We don't know whether it's true. We don't know whether it's
9
not
months
true.
into the Trump.
We don't know what's going on. All I know is that what came out of the emails. Put that to the side. It's a distraction. What he is doing now is a distraction. Let's lower the prices on food. You said the food wasn't high. Why are you lowering the price? Why are you lowering taking the tariffs off? If food wasn't so high, you're doing it for the distraction. And we get all that. We do. If it wasn't so bad, then why wouldn't you release that? But where we are is right now. We're going to have a vote on that to release the Epstein files on Tuesday. There's going to be a vote. Once that vote comes in and all of the Republicans deflect, they're going to deflect to from Trump, and they're all going to vote to have the bill, the files released. But then Pam Bondi is going to come out and say, "Oh no, it's under investigation, so we can't release the file." They're going to come up with an excuse not to release the file, and all next year, all throughout the summer. All throughout the end, they're going to try to deflect off these Epstein files. They're going to come up with one distraction after the other. One distraction after the other until midterms. Now, if we keep on our neck, the midterms are going to be another blue wave because this president is taking all of its people down with him. He's always been a trash president. He's always been a shitty ass person. It just was what it was. People just wanted to vote for him because they thought, he spoke for me. He speaks for me. He speaks everything I want to say. I'm so ignorant. I say everything, and he believes all of that. Bondi is going to declare, I guarantee you next week she's going to say, the files are under investigation, so they can't be released. Watch what I say. And then all the Republicans are going to vote to have the files released, knowing that they won't be released through Pam Bondi because she's going to lock them up that way. Okay? She's going to lock them up that way. If Trump wasn't in the files, why wouldn't he just release him? Why wouldn't he just release him? Because he's in the file. We already know he's in the file. He is on record. Somebody's on record. Tell him he blew Bubba. Who has the videotape? The files have videotapes and audio tapes. The files have videotapes and audio tapes. That's the whole thing. That's the kitty booty. It's more than just young girls on those tapes. It's more than that. That's the whole thing. It's more than that. That's what they're trying to cover up.
Presidency, his promise of lowering prices is failing. Double tap that screen, give me a like there so other people can also see the video.
Breaking news, and honestly, nobody should be surprised. The Trump administration is now scrambling to exempt major tariffs because food prices are exploding. Exactly like everyone warned.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, the same tariffs Trump bragged about as his toughest ever are now being quickly rolled back because America can't afford groceries. Beef, citrus, coffee, bananas, prices are up double digits. Consumer confidence is tanking, and now they're panicking. This is the moment the whole strategy collapsed because tariffs don't magically punish other countries. They raise your prices. They raise my prices, and now Trump's team is desperately trying to undo the very thing they bragged about. Even ranchers are furious, and they're his base. The administration is literally buying more beef from foreign countries after promising the opposite. This is what failed economic policy looks like. This is what happens when politics meets reality.
You all hit the like and the share and the subscribe button, please, and thank you. I appreciate it. I do. I'm not on camera because I have bronchitis and I'll go into a fit of coughing. That's why I have to mute myself. So I appreciate like, share, subscribe. We have this kind of content every day. Thoughts are what's going on in the world. What are we having? What is Trump doing? You know what? I don't know about y'all, but this is the honest God truth. I wish I would enjoy going back to the boring years of Obama and Biden because those were boring years. Every day I get up and wonder what the hell is going on with the next thing that this president has done or didn't do or did or didn't. Right now, we got to worry about that war that he's about to start in Venezuela, because they're ramping up the people. They're ramping up the ships. They're ramping up the people that are in the Venezuelan, the Caribbean. So we're ramping up to have a war with Venezuela.
Part's most important. Tariffs.
Yeah, I do, T. Helen. I went to the doctor on Friday, since the cold wasn't going away, and he gave me that stuff. Yeah.
Were supposed to save America, but instead they raised food prices, crushed confidence, and now they're being reversed in a quiet admission of defeat. God damn! Tariffs didn't lower prices, they caused the problem. And now the truth is finally catching up. Make sure to follow or subscribe for more up-to-date news that you won't hear anywhere else.
Here this thing is. So this is what we have. We don't know what's going on with our world every day. It's always something new, something weird, something that is going on with this president. I don't like being in this topsy-turvy. You don't have enough money to pay for nothing. You don't have enough money to go on vacation. You don't have enough money to do nothing. That's all you have.
With seriousness and respect, but your department is out of control. You are spending like you don't have a budget.
I'm just going to pay. This is going to be my final thought on this. I'm just going to pay this congressman lit up. What is this lady? Noam. They lit her up because her department was way over budget. They're spending like they drunken sailors. So I'm about to I'm about to play that part. Okay.
You're on the verge of running out of money for the fiscal year. You are illegally refusing to spend funds that have been authorized by this Congress and appropriated by this committee. You are ignoring the immigration laws of this nation, implementing a brand new immigration system that you have invented that has
Thank you, Eric Connor, $2 for the showing support. Thank you.
little relation to the statutes that you are required, that you are commanded to follow, as spelled out in your oath of office. You are routinely violating the rights of immigrants who may not be citizens, but whether you like it or not, they have constitutional and statutory rights when they reside in the United States. Your agency acts as if laws don't matter, as if the election gave you some mandate to violate the Constitution and the laws passed by this Congress. It did not give you that mandate. You act as if your disagreement with the law, or even the public's disagreement with the law, is relevant and gives you the ability to create your own law. It does not give you that ability. Let's start with your spending. You are on track to trigger the Anti-Deficiency Act. That means you are going to spend more money than you have been allocated by Congress. This is a rare occurrence, and it is wildly illegal. Your agency will be broke by July, over 2 months before the end of the fiscal year. You may not think that Congress has provided enough money to ICE, but the Constitution and the federal law does not allow you to spend more money than you have been given or to invent money. And this obsession with spending at the border, as the chairwoman mentioned, has left the country unprotected elsewhere. The security threats to the United States are higher, not lower, than when before Trump came to office. To fund the border, you have illegally gutted spending for cybersecurity. As we speak, Russian and Chinese hackers are having a field day attacking our nation. You've withdrawn funds for disaster prevention. Storms are going to kill more people in this country because of your illegal withholding of these funds. Your myopia about the border, fueled by President Trump's prejudice against people who speak a different language, has shattered many of this country's most important defenses. Now let's talk about the impoundments. When Congress appropriates funds for a specific purpose, the administration has no discretion as to whether to spend or not spend that money unless you go through a very specific process with this committee. Let me give you two of many instances of this illegal impoundment. The first is the Shelter and Services Program. Senator Britt may want to zero that account out, but that account is funded, and it was funded in a bipartisan.
So basically what he's saying is they're taking money from wherever they feel like taking money from, and that's where the money is going, to spend it on whatever they feel like doing it. It's the executive branch that is doing this. They're spending money however they want to spend it, and there's no accountability. This is why I have very little respect for the Republican Congress, because there's no pushing back against any of this. This money is just going out the door. No accountability for it. Nobody's taking account to where it's going. We haven't seen any money from Doge. We haven't seen any money from these tariffs that we've been getting into the door. I haven't seen the debt go down. Anybody seen the debt go down? The clock is still there. The clock is still ticking, and I haven't seen it go down yet.
Way. You don't like the program. Your policy is to treat migrants badly. I think that's abhorrent, but it doesn't matter that you don't like the program. You cannot cancel spending in this program, and you cannot use the funds as you have to fund other things like ICE. You have also canceled citizenship and integration grants, which help lawful permanent residents become citizens, helping them take the citizenship test. I know your goal is to try to make life as hard as possible for immigrants, but that goal is not broadly shared by the American public. That's why Congress, in a bipartisan way, for decades, has funded this program to help immigrants in this country become citizens. Now let's talk about why encounters at the southern border are down so much. This is clearly going to be your primary talking point today. You will tell us that it represents a success. But the primary reason why encounters are down is because you are brazenly violating the law every hour of every day. You are refusing to allow people showing up at the southern border to apply for asylum. I acknowledge that you don't believe that people should be able to apply for asylum, but you don't get to choose that. The White House doesn't get to choose that. The law requires you to process people who are showing up at the border and who claim asylum. Why? Because our asylum law is a bipartisan commitment, an effort to correct for our nation's unconscionable decision to deny entry to Jews to this country who were being hunted and killed by the Nazis. Our nation, Republicans and Democrats, decided, wrote it into law, that we would not repeat that horror ever again, and thus we would allow for people who were fleeing terror and torture to come here, arrive at the border, and make a case for asylum. Finally, let's talk about these disappearances. In an autocratic society, people who the regime does not like are people who are protesting the regime. They are just often picked up off the street, spirited away, sometimes to open-ended detention, sometimes they're never seen again. What you are doing, both to individuals who have legal rights to stay here, like Kilmar Abrego Garcia, or students who are just protesting Trump's policies, is immoral. And to follow the theme, it is illegal. You have no right to deport a student visa holder with no due process, simply because they have spoken in a way that offends the president. You can't remove migrants who a court has given humanitarian protection from removal. Now, reports suggest that you are planning to remove immigrants with no due process and send them to prisons in Libya. Libya is in the middle of a civil war. It is subject to a level 4 travel advisory, meaning we tell American citizens never to travel to Libya. We don't have an embassy there because it is not safe for our diplomats. Sending migrants with pending asylum claims into a war zone just because it's cruel is so deeply disturbing. Listen, I understand that my Republican colleagues on this committee don't view the policy the way that I do. My Republican colleagues don't share my level of concern for the way that this administration treats immigrants. That's fine. But what I don't understand is why we don't have consensus in the Senate and on this committee on the decision by this administration to impound the spending that we have decided together to allocate in defense of this nation. We as an appropriations committee, we work interminable hours to write and pass a budget. This budget is really hard to write and pass. And so we make ourselves irrelevant when we allow the administration to ignore what we have decided. And then when we look the other way, when the administration rounds up immigrants who are here illegally and have committed no offenses worthy of detainment, we also do potential irreversible damage to the Constitution. These should not be partisan concerns, destroying the power of Congress, eroding individuals' constitutional rights. This should matter to both parties.
And this is where we're at. We're at the tipping point. This is our debt clock. This is the U.S. debt clock. U.S. debt at the top. This is us. National debt, 38 billion, trillion, million, gazillion, whatever the fuck. Right? And yet, I don't see anybody making a crack at any of that money. I just see reckless spending. I see reckless borrowing. I don't see any of the things getting back to the American people. Any of those things coming back to us. If I'm going to be in debt, I'm going to be in debt and I'm going to know why I'm in debt. I'm not going in debt because you feel like you want to put us in debt. I want to go in debt for something that I'm going to get too. But we ain't getting none of that. All we're doing is getting more and more in debt. All I'm saying is we need to hold these people accountable. We need to start doing it as soon as possible because we're heading for a cliff. This is 38. That's 38. Biden dropped inflation. When he left office, inflation was 2.3. Inflation today under Trump is over 3%. Stop it, Julie Dillon. You don't know what you're talking about. When Biden left office, inflation was 2.3%. Now it's over 3% with Donald Trump. Stop it. Y'all goofy. And gas ain't down. Things are not down. Nothing is down. Everything is up. You all hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. We do this content every evening. I appreciate the sub. Please hit the like button. We need the engagement in here. Doesn't cost you any money. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button. I will definitely be back. This is our debt clock because I always want to see the debt clock. It's 38. Okay. I want to see the debt clock. What are we doing to get that down? What are we doing? Okay. Are we doing anything? Or are we going to continue to borrow money here, borrow money there? Okay. So this is where we're at, guys. And they're stealing money. Somehow, some way, they're taking the money. We don't know how because we ain't paying attention. And the Republicans who are close enough to him in order to find out don't want to find out. They just want to hold their head down and get paid too. They just want to hold their head down and get paid too. And we can't have that. We need to start having our government be accountable. So please hit the like, share, and subscribe. We'll have content tomorrow. Who knows what's going on? I cannot wait to get back to when we don't have to dealing with a president that's in the news every damn day. Every day he's in the news for something. Something he said, something he did, something he's not doing. But you trust and believe we're going to be in the news again with this Venezuela fight. More troops are going to the Caribbean. More troops are being added to the Caribbean. We got 500 militia standing on the way for every state. Every state, starting in January, will have 500 military personnel that will be assigned to each state. So when the president wants to declare national emergency or an insurrection act or anything like that, he's going to deploy those 500 troops per state. So we have a problem on our hands with this president. We have a problem on our hands. People need to start paying attention to what's going on instead of saying, oh, he's the best president. No, he's not the best president. No, he's one of the worst presidents. He's dragged us into wars. He's dragged us into being in debt, way much debt than he added $1 trillion. I think it was $1 trillion, $3 trillion. He added trillions of dollars in 30 days. No, we are in trouble here. Please hit the like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it. Please hit the like, share, and the subscribe. We need the engagement. Okay. I would love to have the engagement. We will be back here tomorrow evening to do some more content, of course, because every day is another day. Every day is news. Every day is something goofy going on, and we will be reporting it. It just is what it is. What wars? What do you mean, what wars? See, that's what I mean. Some of y'all just goofy. Some of y'all just come in here and say dumb stuff. Ain't no peace deals. He started. There's a couple wars. There's a couple things that he started that you don't get credit for starting stuff and then ending stuff. You don't get credit. You don't get credit for that. Stop it. We're not talking about Biden. We're talking about Trump. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I appreciate it. The cold is getting better. It's getting better. I still got a headache. I still get tired, but it's getting better. I will be back on camera as soon as I can pull it off. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow.